Have you ever wondered why your favorite taco is costing you an arm and a leg these days? Or is your dream couch still in backorder status for months now? Join us as we go behind the scenes of the global supply chain. Let us discuss and understand its complexity and learn from the industry leaders, professionals, and subject matter experts. Expect in-depth analysis and genuine conversations about the major issues affecting the supply chain today. Welcome to Supply Chain Demystified. Your host is none other than the distinguished supply chain expert, Dr. Nick Valles. Professor Valles is the academic director of USC Marshall Global Supply Chain Management and founding executive director of USC Marshall Randall R. Kendrick Global Supply Chain Institute.
Welcome to Supply Chain Demystified. I'm your host, Dr. Nick Valles. This is where we talk about the supply chain in a global perspective behind the scene. Today, I'm so privileged to bring you this episode of Supply Chain Demystified from Slovenia, Porto Rosas, where I've spent last 3 days witnessing an incredible conference, which is known as the Slovenian Logistics Congress, hosted by the president of Slovenian Logistics Congress, Igor Žula. Welcome,
Hi.
Igor.
Thank you very much. I'm happy to have this conversation with you. Thank you.
Well, so, this is my first time in Slovenia. And often when the conversation, both in Asia during my travel, in Americas, and other parts of the world, when we talk about the EU, it typically dominated by Germany, France,
Of course.
and Spain, right? And often it gets lost in a translation about how big and rich and diverse the European Union is. What are your thoughts?
Well, I think that it is not correct and not right that Slovenia is forgotten in these terms. Anyway, everybody knows Hong Kong, everybody knows Singapore, and Slovenia is many times bigger than both of the countries together. So it shouldn't happen. And speaking about how big we are, there is in Slovenia lives only 4 times less people than in Finland, for example. So I think Slovenia is rather big. But we are more humble, we are more silent, and this is why there is no so many discussion about Slovenia, although I think that we do have something to say. You know that everybody knows Doncic, Luka Doncic. So if you are good, whether this is one man or this is a team, then everybody speaks about it. So hopefully this will change in the future.
No, absolutely. And again, this is probably over my 60th countries that I've been globally. And I must say that my first impression, and tomorrow when I leave, my not the last, but ongoing impression, Slovenia, I found it to be very fascinating in terms of the structure, the organization. And I want to first congratulate you for delivering an incredible Slovenian Logistics Congress event. It was incredibly well organized, but what I've enjoyed, both the speaking and interacting, that there are amazing professionals that attended the conference, that they're thirsty, they want more, they want to talk about how they can be part of the productive society within the supply chain community. And credit goes to you and your leadership.
Thank you very much. This is nice to hear.
So let's talk about, the minister spoke about the opportunities and challenges that exist here. And I would love to gain your perspective and provide the perspective to the audience as to what are the key challenges. 2 million people population, very well structured, seem to work very well. I feel within the Eastern European bloc and in the Baltics nations, Slovenia seems to have actually much better structure, both the governance and logistics infrastructure. Explain to the audience your view about how Slovenia would stack up within the region? And B, what are the challenges and growth opportunities you see from your vantage point?
Well, to go in few steps in this question, actually, I think that Slovenia anyway is a kind of land of opportunity due to our strategic position. This is something that we like to say that actually Port of Koper is the gate to enter to $500 million market actually, and the path going through Suez, it is actually from China to here, it's actually the shortest. And so this is a great opportunity. Yes, we do have infrastructure medium developed. As we saw today on one of the debate, we are having issues on the railway infrastructure, but the issues as we have are more or less in many countries inside of the Europe. But on the other side, we are a rather regulated country. We are a safe country, and the regulation here, it really takes care for all the parties. So the goods and the people here are rather safe, and I am rather sure that for everybody and all the goods that were entering and then passing through the Slovenia, it has been always well being taking care. We have quite a lot of warehousing infrastructure. I think that we do have places for more. There are some interesting crossroads in Slovenia. There are different corridors, 5th and 10th corridors, spotting Slovenia, and the crossroads has not been used in the proper manner yet. However, we are having challenges because we could better develop the intermodal infrastructure. We know how this is supposed to be handled in European Union. You have to have an honest and decent logistics and traffic strategy, where the country should really show where this kind of infrastructure should be, and this is the condition that the EU would fund, or the private capital would come. So this is something that we do need. But on the other side, this is an opportunity, since we have a lot of universities and we are 2 million people. We have a lot of faculties that are dealing with the logistics and transportation from different point of view, and that means that it's opportunity to develop this. And if in the close future the decision will be made that this is something that's supposed to happen, it can happen in a very fast manner. I would say that the only serious topic which is not in the position that now it's a problem for a long term is that our legislation is really problematic for the infrastructural projects. It's too bureaucratic and it takes too long. But on the other side, as we have been spoken from before, if there is a serious interest to fix this, then this actually can be handled. And since there has been so many discussion about this, I'm rather sure that this will be changed, hopefully in the next years. We like to say very usually that Slovenia is a problematic country from the taxes point of view. Yes, we must do better. But if you are a foreign investor, then there is in Europe so many countries where the labor is much more expensive than here in Slovenia, that means that this is our internal problem, but for foreign investors, certainly not.
Well, interesting. You mentioned that because I've had an opportunity to work with a lot of the foreign governments, foreign countries, right? And one of the use cases that we spoke with the minister about it is Singapore, right? You look at 1950s, right? What Singapore is known as a red dot, right? Which is you go on either side. It's a very small city, state, and country, island, and has zero natural resources. And it is probably, in my view, is one of the most fascinating top 3 hubs of supply chain globally, right? So I think if there is a desire and there is a vision, one can actually make Slovenia within the Europe as that of Singapore. How do you see that sort of a vision being translated?
I think that this vision, it is very, very achievable. It should be achievable. We can have a look on Slovenia from a different perspective. That means on one side we are quite regulated country, probably too much, but it is regulated. We have one port, we have one airport, we have one serious railway structure. Our transportation, road transportation, it is really good and well developed. So that means if positive changes would be done, would be made, would be handled, then the results are achievable really, really fast. What here is needed is good governance and good goal, and finally to come to the situation when left and right and all the parties would join together with the same ambition to grow and simply to be better. And I think that this could be done. I don't know whether this will be, because this is a political issue and I'm really betting this one, and it is not something that I have an answer, but it is a situation that if you want to change, you can.
Absolutely, and what I was impressed with you hosting this conference is the Logistics Congress is creating a platform for dialogues to bring different viewpoints and different opportunities and conversation. Hopefully that actually percolates upwards, and the politicians, the industry, and communities together can come up with the better solutions to move forward with some progressive agenda.
This is, yes, this is true. You know that our event now, this is the 11th one. We started now with 130 participants. We are now on 600, next year 700, and in the next 5, 6, 7 years, there will be 1,500 participants. We are strongly turned into the region. But what I wanted to say with this, that when we had a Congress with 130 or 200 participants, it was one story. Now, when 25 countries has been present here, when there were so many people here from production part, from transportation, from logistics, from school and so on, that means that we are now really, really more interested for discussion. As you know, I mean, we had this year lecture even from the United States, and it was the first time that it happened that the Ministry of Economy, Tourism and Sports came, and that he was willing to talk with some of the greatest minds in supply chain in the world. So usually, you know how it is. The minister come and they think that they are the strongest, the best, and that usually knows everything. So why they would talk with someone else and ask them what we could do? Now, obviously, now this is a good situation, and I saw as a serious ambition to do and to change something, which is really, really good feeling.
No, absolutely. And again, for my audience, Slovenia, as we think about thousands of years of history, but a relatively young country as an independent country. So one has to keep that also in mind, that it's, you guys not being doing the same thing that for a couple of hundred years. This is relatively a new story, and it's a great story. And I'm truly honored to be part of the experience here. But let's talk about, I had a chance to talk to the dean of the business school, right? Education certainly, as you mentioned, a lot of universities and educations for the young generation. I want to get the feel of the human capital within the Slovenia for the audience to understand, how is the young generation looking forward, being part of the EU, but also bigger part of the global community? How do you see them and their vision, and what are they demanding?
I cannot make a comparison with the other countries, but I have 20 years old son and 18 years old daughter. What I see in them, for me, it is rather very, very optimistic. I am not so in X, Y, Z, blah, blah, blah situation about the young people. I simply think that everything is manageable. It is up to us how deep we go and how much time we take to develop the personality or our colleagues that we want to work with in the proper manner. But speaking about the values and everything, what I see at my home is actually that they follow what is going on. There are some things that are issues, because what we did with the climate change and something, this is what my generation did, and I'm sure that the youngsters will solve this. They care. When I was 20 years old, I didn't care about this at all.
Yeah,
but
and
they follow.
I think, and we both actually share the same generation. You're absolutely right. We were more about profit and Wall Street, and,
exactly,
and care about the money more so than other things. You're absolutely right. So this generation, and this is a trend truly I see globally, right? This is true. This is true in India. This is true. I was in January there, and US and rest of the Asia and Europe that I've traveled. That it is true. That generation, this young generations, they certainly do tend to value other things. As I lectured and say, the supply chain leaders of the future has to find ways to deliver more than just the cost.
Yes.
They have to find agility, resiliency, and sustainability. Because if you can't walk and chew the gum at the same time, you're no longer a good leader.
We hope you enjoyed another exciting episode of Supply Chain Demystified. Stay tuned for the next demystifying discussion on the supply chain. Visit uscsupplychain.com to stay up to date on all things supply chain.